Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video I wanted to talk about the best team you should run for Guild Supremacy, the GLYPHSHADE boss, in order to get the highest damage contribution you can and help your guild take down the boss a little bit faster. And I might be late to the party with this because I've been running the old team that I shared in a video a few weeks ago. And there is an updated best team from Bacillus, which is using the Wilders. And I'm going to show you that team right now, and we're going to test it and see how much damage we can get and see whether we can get rank 1 for our guild. So the two key damages are going to be Lily May and OD. Most people will have OD, and I think most people also recruited for Lily May. And then from this point on, you're just going to want to run 2 more Wilders to get the 2 Wilder buff tiles. If you have invested enough into the Wilder faction tree, then that is going to allow you to deal more damage to this boss. And the 2 best Wilders to run are going to be Brian and Parissa.
The most beautiful flowers can have
Now,
thorns.
Parissa's job here is to give a buff of attack and attack speed to Odie to increase his damage. Brian's job here is to have the magic charm bonus, which will cause the target damage taken to increase by 15% after he deals damage to the GLYPHSHADE boss 2 times. So this is going to ramp up the damage from Lily May and Odie, and this is basically considered one of the top performing teams right now. I think it is with Resonating Spell, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so we're going to try this team. Parissa will usually buff the ally who is nearest to her, and that is going to be the Odie. And Rainier is giving the attack buff from his charms onto Lily May to increase her damage. And yeah, the Odie and Lily May shred through the GLYPHSHADE boss even more effectively than Taline, probably because the GLYPHSHADE boss, he has basically interruption type effects, attacks enemies within a radius, deals damage and stuns them. Pulls an enemy, deals damage. So interruption stuns, which will counter Taline because it will keep interrupting her. And also counter Smokey. Okay, so here we go. We're going to check out how much damage we can deal with this. So Brian is going to be position swapped into the front with the attack buff, but his main job in the team is just the providing the effect of his charms to increase the damage that our team will be dealing to the boss. So Parissa is buffing up Odie. As you can see, all of the buffs which is stacked on Odie right now, and both Odie and Lily May are on the Wilder buff tiles. If you only have one Wilder buff tile, then I think it would probably still be best to have Odie on that buff tile and Lily May off of it, and still try to buff up the Odie with the Parissa attack and attack speed buff. We'll take a look at the damage contribution at the end and see how much Odie did compared to Lily May. But I'm thinking that Odie deals the most damage, and that is also why Resonating Spell is good for him. Because each time he casts an ultimate, he's going to gain 35% attack power increase. And at the beginning of the fight, it allows him to charge up his ultimate faster. So yeah, so that's it's interesting though, because Parissa basically, both Parissa and Brian, they're kind of here, number one, to provide the 2 Wilder buff tiles, or at least one of them if you only have one tile unlocked in your talent tree. But eventually you'll want to get the 2 tiles even for AFK stages and Supreme Arena, because the 2 Wilder tiles are really powerful. But they're here also for the utility, like Parissa with the buffs onto Odie, Brian for the magic charm bonus to increase the damage that the boss will be taking, and Rainier of course is here for increasing the damage that the boss takes. There's no other better debuffer than Rainier, and also with his elite charm bonus he gives the attack buff to the ally behind him. Okay, so up to 92 billion damage. I think right now the top score for my guild is like 120 or so billion damage. I hope we can beat that. 15 seconds left. I think we have a good chance of doing that. Yeah, and I guess also the good thing is the boss is not interrupting my back line in this team formation. Like, he just keeps and I think it's because, oh, with the Wilder buff tiles, you're unaffected while the shield is active on your team. And so the boss is actually unable to pull in these backline enemies, and that's why the 2 Wilder buff tiles are so strong. Okay, so 126 billion damage. The damage sheet shows Odie being definitely the top damage dealer. So if you're going to go for a 1 buff tile variation of this, you can use Odie, Parissa in the back to try and buff the Odie. Rainier, again, position swapping, maybe position swapping the Lily May if you're going to go for, that type of strategy with just 1 buff tile, because then you don't have to have Lily May on the back and Brian could just be tanking up in the front for you. Or you can, if you for example don't have the magic charms for Brian, you can run Iron. That has been another option that was recommended by Bacillus to other people. So those are just other options you can run, but basically Iron, Brian, Parissa, and definitely Brian and Parissa are the best options if you have the Brian charms and Parissa to buff up the Odie. But look at that damage. Odie just shred through the boss, and the boss was unable to really pull or interrupt or stun because they were unaffected with the shield. Yeah, we got the top ranking position for damage in our guild, and it's probably because other people are not running this team, and it's a really strong and effective team. So definitely there's a team that I recommend, and shout out again to Bacillus for sharing that team. Let's just quickly look through the other wilder options, because Rainier, and if you want to sub out Rainier for Mythic at Mythic Plus, like let's say you don't have Rainier at Mythic Plus yet, Thorin is a great replacement. He has a Soul Plunder debuff, which will cause a boss to take 17% bonus damage. So not as much as Rainier, but it still is something. So that is a great option for you. And if you don't have Lily May, I hope most people have Lily May, and Odie as well. Most people would have the Odie, so I'm assuming you have Odie. And then you will want to go for 3 wilders to just give the Odie the buff tile, which will give him attack speed. It will give him the unaffected state, because when we look at the wilder faction tree, the prime carry becomes unaffected while the shield is active, and the boss is not breaking the shield, so the whole duration of the fight they're unaffected, which means the boss cannot pull them in. And I think the boss always prioritizes pulling in the backline enemies, and so he can't even pull in the Rainier or the Parissa because they're not the rearmost targets. He keeps trying to, I guess, pull it at the Odie or Lily May, and it doesn't work. And yeah, I think the other big advantage of this is a lot of people will have the Wilder Tree invested into for AFK stages and Supreme Arena, so naturally this team will work out well for them. The interesting thing is, like, for example, in the Primal Lord right now, Graveborn, Lightbearer, these are the comps which are the top performing, and Wilders is not. But it's because Graveborn and Lightbearer, basically faction talent upgrades, are much more about snowballing and dealing crazy damage when you have like a lot of enemy kills, for example, or if you need to deal a lot of AoE damage. But for single target damage, when you can't like snowball and get a lot of like stacks for killing opponents like the Plague Rots, then Wilder is the best for single target damage without any massive way of buffing your team up. And if there's just one boss throughout the fight, Wilder buff tile is usually going to be your best option. Other than, I guess, in battle drills, where still the Lightbearer comp was the best. But the Lightbearer team idea doesn't work against the GLYPHSHADE boss. And yeah, it's probably because he would keep interrupting your team. So yeah, this is the overall best team. Definitely a team that I recommend. If you had to put any other Wilder heroes in here, you could pretty much run anything. You just have to activate the buff tile. So Parissa definitely is the best. And her buffs that she will provide... she will provide them... Yeah, Parissa increases attack speed and normal attack damage for herself and one nearest ally. So you want to always try to position Parissa in a way that the nearest ally is only Odie. So that she's more likely to, or guaranteed to buff up Odie with the buff. Yeah, that is her major good effect. And then Brian, his charms, that's why they're good. People have run Lenya teams as well. I didn't show a Lenya team because the Lenya team I think is a little bit weaker overall than this team, even if you have Lenya. And I think a lot of people also don't have Lenya built up. But if you have her, you can replace her for one of these hero options. And yeah, so overall, those are the teams that I recommend. Basically, Odie, Lily May as the key 2 damage dealers. and having the 3 wilders for the wilder faction buff tiles, and having the positioning in such a way that the boss is basically unable to pull anyone in or stun anyone. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.